Alright, so we're restarting this match. Though the first game was discarded, so no one's gonna know anything that happened for that game. For the best, really. For a lot of reasons that won't be mentioned. But this actual match starting, Gear Chronicles are taking on the new Cosmic Heroes. And Doryan's Gear Chronicles have gotten an upgrade thanks to the update. And the Cosmic Heroes are, of course, a completely brand new thing. And this will be our first recording of actually seeing what they do. As far as their overall mechanic, if you look at this unit and this unit here, they both give 4,000 power to another unit. This is basically the gimmick of this clan, is that they're going to go out of their way to give 4,000 power to two units, and the Vanguards, the Strides, and some of the grade 3s as well, gain abilities just from that. During No Pass, the Vanguard, it was unboosted because he wanted to get Laurel off. Doryan didn't let that happen. He did get a heal trigger and was able to give it to the rear, but better than a critical. Grade 2, he rides Endless Galloping Gear Horse, which is a standard unflip unit. When it hits, you unflip a card. Really good for Gear Chronicles, though, if only because they need Counterblast. They need Counterblast in a big way. During draw triggers. So does Gaia. Gaia gave up almost his entire hand to get 2 drive checks on his grade 2 turn. And he calls another unit instead of riding. I was about to say if I was Doryan I'd guard this, but he doesn't. Gets a heal trigger for his trouble. Which means if his opponent wants to attack Vanguard again, it's already a 1 pass. And then that's a no pass. Chrono Jet Dragon ride. He can't use Stride because his opponent didn't ride grade 3. And that stand trigger does have an ability, but that ability is Generation Break 1. Good to have out now, though. When a unit is returned to the deck from on the opponent's side from one of Doryan's abilities, that unit will give something on the field 10,000 power. After that, the stand trigger will be shuffled back into the deck. Really good way to get power out of a play like that. Now Gaia rides Gallop. This is what happened in the last game, but the difference is that the damage was very different between the two. And also, because he has Laurel on the field, he's going to want to attack with Vanguard first. But that also means he can't get the power-up abilities from Grandfire and Gallop because that's when they attack. First is critical. And that also means that X-Rogue's ability activates because its power was more than 37,000. Which means draw 1 for that. Draw 1 because of Grand Gallop. And retire 1. The opponent chooses to retire. One sec. Alright, had to settle a dispute. The trigger did count for the power. Doryan guarded with the perfect guard on the Laurel restand. And now Gaia has all the hand with which he wants to do whatever he pleases. Meanwhile, Doryan had his resources greatly reduced, partially because he lost his starter from X-Rogue's attack. Of course, at the same time, Doryan does have the option of forcing Gaia to have to guard. Doryan activates Stride, dropping a grade 2 and a grade 1. Brings out Lost Age Dragon. Good unit to start off with because it doesn't use any resources of any kind. I probably would have went with Chronos Command Dragon, which basically would do the same thing but on a larger scale but at a cost. I do it mostly because it would force Gaia to guard just so they didn't lose most of his units. And now the Gear Cat skill gives 10k to one unit. He's deciding to give it to the grade 2. And now that unit is going back into the deck. Calls Gallop and puts a unit behind it so it can't hit. Doryan seems to have a strategy built around unflipping his damage so that he can use units like Relic Master Dragon, which you normally wouldn't see used because of how costly its skill is, Counterblast 2 and whatnot. But he's trying to circumvent all of that with his unflippers. And I can't call that a bad strategy at all. I certainly can't say it's bad. But he's gonna have a hard time coming back from what's already happened. He only did 2 drive checks. Stride does 3 drive checks. Doryan did 2. If that top card is another trigger, then it's his own fault for not realizing that doing Stride means 3 drive checks. To be honest, if the top card is anything helpful, then it's his fault. To be honest, he's already in trouble. I don't think he can guard the Vanguard, which means it's going to have 2 critical. That's kind of an inevitability now. All he can hope to do is guard the rears, and he does have enough to guard the rears. He just drove checked 2 10k shields in a row. So the first one, he drops a 10k shield. The next one is probably going to be the Vanguard. Doryan has to no-guard the Vanguard. And keep in mind, whatever the first critical. He would have gotten three drive triggers in a row. Draw from Gallop. He also gets a draw because Grand Seed hit. No, he didn't miss the timing. Gallop and Grand Seed are both on hit. I think Doryan is confused as to what the Cosmic Heroes do. And I understand, it's a new clan. There's going to be confusion. I can perfectly see why there would be misunderstandings in what they do. Because a lot of what they do sounds like BS. It's like one of those clans where you really want to call someone out on something that doesn't sound right, but it turns out to be exactly how things are supposed to be. I consider great natures to be the same thing, but no one actually calls anyone out on that. They just trust people to know what they're doing because great nature does so much during the end phase that you lose track. Unless you really mastered that clan. I'm gonna check on why the game is paused. Alright, that's settled now. It was a dispute on when Grand C was activated and if he actually declared that it was or not. He declared that it was activated as soon as Grand Fire gave Grand C power, which is actually when it is active, because it's when its power is increased. If the power is 9,000 or greater, that's when you choose the Vanguard and give it the skill. Since he only had one Vanguard at the time, he just declared that he was activating the skill. And what Vanguard is chosen is kind of apparent because he only has one option. And Doryan gives up. There's nothing he can really do. Considering the hand that he is up against and the fact that he really doesn't have a lot of options. He also forgot to triple check last turn, so good games. I'll see you in the next match.